everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic Magazine and AXS Entertainment. We are out here on Mayhem Festival. Going to do a little 5 minutes of mayhem with Rob and Paul of Cannibal Corpse. How you guys doing?
Good. Doing great, man. Thanks.
Day 4, it's early on, but how's it going so far?
Awesome. We had some bus issues, actually making our way out here, but haven't missed a show and everything's going smooth so far.
That seems to happen every year. Last year the same thing happened to Huntress and Battlecross. The very first day coming up the hill, they just barely made set time to get here and everything.
Right, yeah.
But now, if memory serves, this is your guys' first appearance since 2009, right?
That is correct, yes.
You guys headlining the Cold Cock stage. Have you tried that yet, by the way? We don't get it here in Idaho.
You know what? I think George, our singer, has tried it. It's like it's an herbal whiskey, I guess. So he said it was a little different. But yeah, I unfortunately, Rob probably will not be trying that.
Yeah, we're not doing the whiskey these days.
But
hey, it's cool.
George, I'm sure, loves it.
That's a good thing. So I gotta ask, because obviously going on a festival like this is a lot different than just your standard tour. What's the vibe sort of like out on a big tour like this?
It's of course, like you said, very different. We're used to headlining, playing our own thing. More of a death metal package. Right. So for us to be out on this tour, and then you look at the lineup, and we're pretty much most heavy, brutal death metal band on the tour.
Right.
So it's just go into this as doing our thing, but knowing we're going to be playing in front of a lot of new fans, and that's why we're here. Try to sell the new record, promote the new record, get some new fans that never heard of Cannibal Corpse into us, and that's pretty much it. But it's been a very positive experience, of course. Playing out during the day like this in such a festive atmosphere. So many people, so much going on. It's night and day compared to what we're used to. But I think it's awesome. I really love it. I love myself personally playing in the daylight. We only get to do 8 songs, so we really can just go. Really give it our all for those 8, kind of a thing. But I think it's awesome.
What about you, Rob? It's a good thing we brought Paul along, because you're not getting a word in.
No, that's fine. I am pretty quiet when it comes to interviews. But yeah, for me, I prefer the indoor, dark settings for shows. It just seems more appropriate with our kind of lyrical content and the music vibe. But for this kind of tour, it's kind of like trying to expand our scene as a whole, trying to get people into more mainstream stuff, to give underground death metal a chance. Right. Check it out. Maybe they'll get into some heavier stuff.
Well, like you said, one of the things we're here to talk about, the new album, Skeletal Domain, your 13th album, doesn't come out till September. Too bad we couldn't have it out before the tour, but
right.
What can you do?
Yep.
Now, Alex had called it one of the band's darker albums. Tell us about the record from your guys' perspective.
Well, yeah, we really worked hard, of course. We always work hard. We really give it our all, 110% every time we go into the writing process and all that. And, this time, of course, was no different. Other than I really do think we nitpick more so than ever. Just fine-tuning these songs, just working every possible arrangements, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think when you listen to the whole record as a whole, it does seem to have a little bit, maybe more of a darker vibe. And that's a kind of a fine line, because I think all of our albums are dark, of course. There's nothing happy about a Cannibal Corpse album.
Given the content,
exactly.
Right.
And we always really try to focus on dark chords, dark music, and but man, Mark Lewis, I think, was a big key factor in the sound, of course, of the record. We're using a new producer.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You've used Eric Rutan for the last 3 albums, I think it is.
Right.
So
exactly.
Why the switch up to Mark, who's a phenomenal producer?
Exactly. And they all have been. Every producer that we have worked with since day one has been phenomenal, and we could still be working with any of them producers today.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like every 3 albums or so, a new producer comes into the picture.
And it's good for I think we just do it for a change of pace,
Right, you don't want to get in a funk.
Exactly. And Eric did an amazing job on all 3 of those records. And I think fans and people hear, oh my gosh, they're not using Eric again, they're going to use Mark, and they're so worried that all of a sudden we're not going to sound good or something, And we just wanted to do something different, not get kind of in a rut like you're saying, and nothing against Eric or any of the previous producers. Just it's time for a change. It helps us. It gives you a little, I don't know.
Yeah, just so it's not the same
fresh
all the time.
Very fresh.
Well, what did you take away from working with Mark as opposed to, say, Eric or somebody else? What did he bring to the table?
I think he brought a more of a new school attitude, the way recording is done these days. You know, the producers, like I mentioned in the past, are all old school producers, you know, every one of them. So Mark was the new guy for us, you know, and he brought this new, you know, the new way of recording. Very subtle things, but for instance, you know, the Audio Hammer Studios, it's not really like a studio, you know? It's like you got a couple, you know, they got their control rooms, you got a drum room that's a house around the corner, and so we recorded the drums there, but the way Mark works, it's really, anything else could have been done anywhere. It's just his knowledge and the technology that he uses, you know, you don't need a studio anymore, you know? So I think that was the main thing for us. We're so used to being at the Sonic Ranch, Morrison, proper studios, you know, so being away from that was completely different, and he had just subtle techniques that we're not going to really get into, you know, to give anything away, but definitely a new way of approach that we never did that I think really helped the sound of this record.
Right, he's had some amazingly successful albums.
Exactly.
I was just talking though to Ben from Goat Whore about Eric and that old school approach, so it sort of comes full circle.
Right.
Now, how much? Obviously, the album's not coming out till September. Are you playing any of it out here on Mayhem for this tour to sort of tease fans?
No, we're gonna wait until we do Australia and Japan after this tour, and then we're gonna work in new songs as soon as we hit Europe. You know, we'll probably do a couple songs in Australia.
Oh, definitely. The whole thing with this was just exactly, it was kind of a weird timing. You know, the album's not going to be out for 2 months now, you know, and then Metal Blade did release one of the songs, but then we look at our set time on Mayhem, it's 35 minutes. We only get to play 8 songs, you know, so I think we all felt that it would have more impact playing songs that people already may know than having one song in the set that's like, okay, here's the new song. Like, I don't think it's necessary. I think we'd be better off waiting till the album's
give
out,
them some
you know?
time to listen to it and get familiar with it.
If we were headlining right now, we would probably definitely be playing that song just because, you know, we got more songs. But yeah, it just wasn't going to work logistically.
Speaking of the release, Skeletal Domain in September, you're also going to be releasing this autobiography, which I'm liable of butchery. Tell us all about how that came together.
Joel MacGyver in England, he's written 25 books already or so, and he just he really has been wanting to do this book on Cannibal Corpse for a while, and then he finally wrote along with us for a UK run that we did with Triptychon some years back, and just wrote along and talked with each of us individually and just compiled all this information about the history of the band, pretty much.
Yeah, I think also when you look at the way CDs, of course, are marketed these days, everything's got a bonus, you know? I mean, of course, we did the bonus making ofs, we did those couple, you know? I mean, it was really time for something different, you know? And yeah, when Joel approached us wanting to do the book, it was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then Metal Blade thought it was a great idea, and you know, let's coincide it with the release then of the album. There's your bonus, you know? Hey, you got a book coming out with the album, you know, maybe makes the fans a little bit that much more excited about it. So yeah, he did a great job. I mean, you know, probably, you know, you're hearing comments, and you know, we did the DVD, The Centuries of Torment, you know, which, I mean, we covered everything on that DVD. So I think a lot of people were thinking, well, what's going to be in the book that we really didn't cover before? There was some stuff in there. There's a lot of different quotes from various people, a lot of accounts, of course, from us, but a lot of cool pictures too. There's definitely a lot of cool
like
pictures.
It's going to be like 150 pages or something.
Right. So yeah, it's going to be just a big collection. You know, I would hope, you know, the fans would like it just because it's something different, you know. So
yeah, and we've always been fans of, you know, books of musicians that we look up to as well, you know, like we're always reading books about, you know, I got the Mustaine book, the Lemmy book, even the Vince Neil book, and, you know, it goes on and on. We're always reading books about musicians, pretty much.
Well, bring it, you were just talking about the fans, sort of wrap it up here. 20 years ago, your first album with the band, The Bleeding, one of your seminal albums. Can you take us back real quick? Because fans sort of love that trivia and the tidbits they never really got to know went on behind the scenes, and just sort of recall recording that album for us and anything that stands out that fans might not be aware of, stuff like that.
Well, that was the first time I recorded with them, but I had already recorded in Morristown with Malevolent Creation and Solstice before, so we were all used to the setting, you know. It was just my first recording with them, but it went really smoothly. As far as I recall, we had like a condo that we were staying at, and Yeah, pretty smooth. We drove down together, I remember.
Yeah, we all drove down from Buffalo because we were still living in Buffalo at that time.
Right.
So that would have been our last album commuting down to Morristown. And like Rob was saying, everything went pretty smooth. We had the condo, which was new to us because we had more time, you know.
Right.
Every album we had, you know, Eaton had, what, 10 days. Butchered was 2 weeks. Tomb and the Mutilated 3 weeks. Wow, we got over a month to record The Bleeding. We thought that was just like phenomenal. So, you know, we need to stay down there for, you know. So what I do remember about that, Rob, though, yeah, we all drove down. I remember I got real sick on the way down. I had some virus going on, and I remember it did affect me once we got to the studio, and I remember not feeling right. I never went to the doctor for anything on it. I don't know what I had, but something really messed my stomach up, and it kind of, you know, fortunately didn't affect any performance and all that because we did the album, but I for some reason I do remember.
It's probably something you ate.
Yeah,
and then,
man.
Yeah, we were wondering, is this going to delay the recording process? But as soon as we started, it was smooth sailing.
But that was definitely the most nitpicked album at that point because I know Scott Burns. We all knew it was a big deal. Tomb Mutilated was out. All right, we're obviously we're going somewhere. You know, Hammer Smash Face. Okay, there's some big buzz going on with the band. So I know Scott wanted to do the best he could do on The Bleeding, and we had some issues. I think towards the end with the mix. You know, everything with the recording is fine, but then you know there's always going to be things. But we had a big to do about the mix. I think that was going back and forth between the label and some of the members and Scott and all that. But we got it sorted out.
That was kind of the same with Butchered too. That's why it sounds kind of odd sounding guitar tone.
Do you ever think about going back and sort of remixing some of those now that we got the more modern technology?
No, never. I don't think any of us have that inclination. You know, it's kind of like exactly. To us, I think those albums are set in stone, like anything. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of re-recording anything. You know, I mean, they are what they are.
Marks a place in time.
Exactly. You know, and you're gonna re-record. I think it's really gonna be done for the wrong reasons. You know, and it just shouldn't be done. So that's my opinion.
Nice.
So
yeah, I mean, he was even saying the other day he compared The Bleeding to the new record. It's like blown it out of the water. Yeah. But it's like back then though, The Bleeding sounded amazing. Cutting edge, just like so many years.
Exactly.
Technology progressing, it's just amazing.
Perfect. Rob, Paul, Cannibal Corpse, new album Skeletal Domain out in September along with the autobiography. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy the tour. Who are you guys looking at watching? Who are you guys looking to watch in the rest of the tour?
Well, Body Count.
Yeah, that's like our favorite off of the list.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
and luckily they're playing right before us, so and then Ice-T comes over and watches us directly from the stage.
Right.
Nice.
It's a great 1-2 punch to end the outside little thing. So.